gonna die. Going too fast. I'm taking 3.
I'm going for the St. Louis now.
Oh no!
Son of a bitch.
You get your 2?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course, and today we are going to take a look at the first battle I had in the old Tier 9 Russian cruiser. Yes, I did finally purchase her. I purchased her earlier today, and then decided to take her out for a spin. You can see as well that I am grouped up with De Krampus and Pink Mitsubishi today as well. So just hoping to survive the battle is what I'm looking to do, considering it's my first battle in her, right? So the captain is not trained for the ship. There's no way I'm paying gold to get that done. I'll pay the 200,000 credits to do it halfway, sure, why not, but not gold. And of course I have no modules bought for her whatsoever. She's totally stock, but obviously I did put a bunch of flags on and some camo here as well. So the ship itself, it looks pretty cool. I mean, I like the whole donkey look it does have going on, and I don't know why it looks like a donkey, but it does. It's so weird. I mean, it obviously has something to do with the conning tower, right? Forward of the first smokestack there. It's just so large and weird and long, but anyway. Moving on, about the ship itself. Now, she's not a bad ship. First impressions, anyway, of her, not so bad. Going into this, I knew one thing about the ship as fact, because I had experienced it many times in battles, is that this ship cannot take any hits whatsoever from any sort of heavy gun at all. That's something I know. I have deleted these things many a time in my rune, in my Zhao, even in the Admiral Hibber, just destroyed these things, firing armor piercing at them while they're presenting broadsides. And we're actually gonna see that later on in the battle. But, you know, knew that starting off. But what else did I find out here as well? She's pretty fast. I think it's like 33 knots is what the top speed is when it's all stock and whatnot. So not too bad. I mean, that's, you know, excellent maneuverability and top speed here for a cruiser at the tier. The guns are great. I mean, you know, even though, again, the captain doesn't have the abilities on or anything like that, they still have a really nice traverse speed on them, which I enjoy. The rate of fire, you know, it is a little long, but, you know, considering, again, that it's a tier 9 cruiser, it's definitely comparable and competitive with the other tier 9 cruisers that we have. I mean, obviously the Rune is going to be the fastest firing one here, but not too bad at all. So it's got that going for her. Now, on top of this, we do have the fact that, you know, it's a Russian cruiser, so she has a higher chance for fires, not as much so as a Japanese, but there's still that option there. But the thing that I have been enjoying mostly at this point in time with it is the guns are really, you know, heavier guns, finally. There's nothing wrong with the Chapiav. I enjoyed spamming HE and you know, with the lower caliber guns there, it wasn't too bad. But here I can actually load my armor piercing and do a crap ton of damage, which is phenomenal. Really enjoy that as well. Now, the downside to Russian cruisers still stays consistent here at tier 9 in that they turn... It just takes forever for them to turn. There is really not a whole lot of maneuverability here in terms of rudder shift time. Now, obviously, you know, once I get the credits and whatnot, I am going to go ahead and put the rudder shift time module to increase that, which will help it out a little, but you do need to keep this in mind. This ship is, my initial impressions anyway, is that she's not going to be a close-in fighter. She's, you know, well suited at distance. Now, that being said, I mean, you do really also want to balance, you know, how far you're actually staying away from maybe the front line, and, you know, how effective are you being, right? Because you don't want to just hide in the back. That's not good. But you do also want to be aware of things that are coming at you. So you can see in the battle so far, my division here, we have pushed over on the west side a lot, because the enemies have been grouping up entirely in their base, which is quite surprising. We have an unfortunate Admiral Hibber coming in. Now, both my division mates, De Krampus and Pink Mitsubishi, see here, has been firing in on the enemy hipper as well, and I'm firing in high explosive. And then it was at this point in time in the battle when I do realize, hey, wait a minute, Thotgor, let's test out some armor piercing here and see what's going on. Now, this is a pretty good test, I suppose, because at this point in time, the Admiral Hipper, you know, at that time he was going bow on to me, so you know, you can pretty much see that, yeah, it's, you know, more or less typical armor piercing penetration from head on. But I mean, then, you know, I get that massive hit there with the one Citadel. I think it was about 9,100 damage, and then right behind my shots came in an ally and finished off the Admiral Hipper. So fantastic, not too shabby at all. Something else, obviously, that the Russian cruisers have, as well as the American cruisers, is the radar ability. Now, radar is really something that is quite awesome to have. I do enjoy it. In fact, I'm very glad that it's on the Russian cruisers, because I don't enjoy the American cruisers very much at all. So at least, you know, I get to play in a decent cruiser that still has the radar ability, so that is very nice. This battle, you know, it didn't seem to come into play too much, because we do have some excellent spotting going on here from the team, which is fantastic. But we don't have that many destroyers to worry about as well. I mean, you'll notice there's only one destroyer on the enemy team, and you know, our two. So we don't have that to be too concerned about anyway. When there are a number of destroyers, radar comes incredibly handy, especially when you're trying to take down those enemy destroyers. It really, really does come in handy. We continue our push over here on the west, right? You can see that we have managed to take down a number of enemy ships, 2 cruisers and a battleship. We have an enemy Amagi here as well in our sights, and I'm going to start putting the old high explosive into this enemy Amagi, because I wanted to be able to set the player on fire. Now, obviously as well, I'm still getting used to gun velocities and leading the targets, right? Trying to make sure that my shells are going in and spreading it around too, because that's another thing you do want to make sure as well when you're, you know, you're firing HE and you're looking to set an enemy ship on fire from stem to stern, is you can't just fire at the same spot over and over, because once a section of the ship is on fire, you're not going to set that section of ship on fire again. You might extend the length of the fire, but it's not going to be a whole new fire. So you do need to sort of work your way up the length of the ship, right, or work your way down the ship, however you're firing at it, and get the fire set on the bow, on midships, and on the stern. 3 fires, that's really the key. We can see a number of fires actually on the Amagi right now. Unfortunately, none of those are my fires. I pretty much sucked it up at trying to get some armor piercing in on the player, but at the very least I'm now landing some high explosive shots on the player, so we're, you know, doing some damage here. I'm already up to about 31,000, which isn't too bad. I was actually more excited over the fact that this was the maiden voyage of the vessel. Things look to be going quite well, and I have a considerable amount of hit points left. I haven't even had to use my repair ability, so, you know, that's pretty decent. We have some enemy ships popping up here, and we're going to get a nice little example here of the lack of maneuverability of the ship here quickly. You know, as I'm turning away, because obviously I don't want to go head on into these enemy cruisers, right? The Baltimore, I believe it is, can actually do a bit of damage to me, especially if the player is going to start firing armor piercing at me. Luckily, one of my battleships in the background does get a really nice shot off of that Baltimore and does a crap ton of damage to the player, so we don't really have to worry about this player right now, right? Just some final shots are going to go in, then that player's gone. So we have the Thotgor here, and again, don't want to go straight on to the Thotgor, and I don't really like that I'm this close to the Thotgor, because again, this Thotgor with the armor piercing can do a whole bunch of damage here, so I got to turn and get into this channel. And then this is where the example of the poor maneuverability of the ship does come into play. So we fire off a full salvo of high explosive. We get 3 Citadel hits in that one salvo there. Managed to finish off the Thotgor with about 11,000 damage dealt, which isn't too bad. We have torpedoes on the way in, so I do need to maneuver. So I'm hard over, right? And I'm waiting for my rudder to turn. I'm waiting for it to turn. It's coming back. It's taken forever. Turn to turn to turn. And no, we're going to collide here. And there's not going to be a whole lot I can do, right? Even if I do slow it down and I do attempt to make a slow maneuver around, I'm still not going to be able to clear the rock here, just because the rudder shift time is just so atrocious right now. But it will get better. It will get better. Just need to buy the module. You know, as long as you're, I guess, in open water, it's not such a big deal, but that'll never happen. It is something that you do need to be aware of when you are at the captain seat of this ship. So I've managed to maneuver myself off the island here, which is pretty fantastic. And we're going to circle around and play a little bit of defense here at the at our base, right? Because I'm in a good position to provide this defense here as well. The stock range on the Dmitri Donskoi, I don't know. That's my first try at the name. Anyway, the stock range on the ship here isn't too bad. About 16 kilometers, I believe. So it really is manageable. Obviously, I'm going to be getting the increase to the overall range, get that module, and on top of that, of course, there is the fire control system upgrade as well, which will increase your range here as well. So, it does have that going for it. We do see some enemy ships off in the distance, right? We have the Rune here and on very, very low health, and I was really hoping to actually take down that player, but it just wasn't going to happen. Still about 4,200 damage, which isn't too bad at all. We see some other ships like the Iowa, which is going to be a little bit of a challenge there. There's the Nagato as well, and then off in the distance we do see another enemy battleship. I think it's the guys now? Not 100% sure. But anyway, we put a few shots here into the enemy Nagato, and I do realize that, this enemy Iowa is going to come right around, catch me in a broadside, and it's just going to delete me, essentially. It's going to be over. So we're going to have to do something about this. Now, luckily, the Tier 9 Russian cruiser here does come with torpedoes, and the range of the torpedoes is 8 kilometers, so it opens up a few more possibilities for you to use them, a few more situations where they will come in handy. The downside with these torpedoes, however, is that they are painfully slow at 55 knots, so it will take them some time to get on target, and it will take time, and rather it will give the enemy time to avoid them, so you do need to keep this in mind. So we're basically going toe-to-toe with an enemy Iowa here. The enemy Iowa is on little over half health, or little under half health, so that's pretty decent. Pretty happy about that. My allies came in and really saved the day. We have a salvo coming in from the enemy Iowa, hits me, massive damage there, and now I'm on pretty low health. Luckily, obviously, being a tier 9 cruiser, I am able to repair some of this damage, so I've got the repair party on it, and we're really trying to get rid of this enemy Iowa at this point in time. I'm firing my armor piercing at the enemy Iowa, because you can see I'm still doing pretty decent damage with the armor piercing, and consistently doing this damage as well. So hopefully one more hit into the enemy Iowa here, and we won't have to worry about this player anymore, and I can move on. Fantastic. Enemy Iowa is down. Don't need to worry about him. We do have some more shots coming in from the enemy battleships off in the distance. We do still need to keep in mind these players. But for now, I'm fairly happy that our base is pretty secure. You can see some torpedoes coming in for the enemy Nagato here as well. We have a number of allied ships who are engaging it. So, I was satisfied with this. I was, willing to go up to up to the enemy base, meet up with the Der Krampus up there, I believe, who is up there, and start capping that out, obviously while putting shots into the enemy Nagato. But that's the plan. Now, one ship that I am losing track of is actually the guys now. We can see it moving through the channel on the eastern side of the map, moving up through that channel, right? I more or less do not see the player right now. I pretty much focused on this Nagato, right? Trying to get my shots over the mountain and into the side of this Nagato so that I can do some damage, maybe get some citadels as well, but get the player gone. I mean, the Nagato is in our base capping it out, but doesn't really have much of a chance of actually successfully capping it out, so I really should have had a little more situational awareness here in this situation to understand where the enemy guys now is going. Again, we are still putting shots into the enemy Nagato. We can see more torpedoes on the way. There we go. Enemy Nagato gets finished off, and it's just the enemy guys now. And I remember looking around thinking, where's the player? Der Krampus tells me, careful Thotgor, there is a guys now coming around the corner. I think, oh crap, so I start turning, trying to get myself turned around so I won't have to deal with this. And then as well, thinking in my mind, well, the dispersion on the guys now isn't so great, so maybe I will get lucky. So shots go into the guys now. You can see the guys now is obviously taking his time, sort of aiming at me here, making sure to line up the shots proper. Shots are on their way in, and it's more or less all over. There we go. So something you really, really need to keep in mind with this Tier 9 Russian cruiser, and I mean it's true for all of the Russian cruisers, they do have a really high chance of getting citadeled and dying very quickly, but at this Tier 9 level you start coming across of course a lot heavier ships, so the problem, or at least the weakness, becomes a whole lot more apparent. so you really need to keep it in mind when you are playing around in these ships. Fun ship though. I did enjoy the battle I played in her. Obviously, you know, just first impressions, right? Still need to learn the little quirks about the ship. Obviously, you need to purchase the modules, need to get the research so I can upgrade the ship as well here. But generally, yeah, you know, good ship, and I'm looking forward to the Moskva as well. I mean, obviously that will now be the next tier 10 I get. Probably not the next ship. I mean, I'm still plugging away on the Konig there. Still working towards the Bayern, so I'll probably end up getting the Bayern before the Moskva, most likely. Anyway, zooming over here to check out the last final blows into the enemy guys. Now we can see that we do have some torpedoes coming in from our allied aircraft carrier, which is fantastic. And I mean, as well, kudos to the team on this battle too, right? The team was really there. I mean, my division, yes, we did push up over onto the west side and, you know, cause some damage there and whatnot. But if it wasn't for the team opposing the enemies in the channel where C and B would normally be, the enemies just would have flooded through and taken our base. We can see final torpedoes coming in from our allied Fubuki, gets the kill there, finishes off the guys now, and we're able to walk away from this, calling it a victory. And not a very typical maiden voyage, I suppose, but still very pleased I am with this ship. So you can see I finished with about 97,000 damage, which isn't too bad. Third overall on the team as well. Always surprising in a maiden voyage here. The damage breakdown wasn't too bad. We did spread it around a bit, but maybe a little more damage to a few more ships, and I would have been able to get out the Confederate, walk away with about 70,000 damage and 4,500 experience, which is always nice considering we got to work on making this ship not stock, because I think not stock is going to be a whole lot better. Anyway, that is today's video. I do hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember to leave any comments you have for me in the video comment section below. Love reading those and responding back to them. Remember to hit the old like button if you did like today's video. Hit subscribe if you were not a subscriber. And as always, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.